We're going to be going on until noon today, that extra half hour, just to make sure that you and your family have all you need to know, that information surrounding those fires. I'm Marcus Washington, and let's get straight to those numbers on the fires. We continue to monitor all the Bay Area fires. Here's the latest at this hour. The LNU Complex in the North Bay has burned more than 357,000 acres and is 33% contained, or roughly a third. 5 people have died there, and nearly 1,000 structures are destroyed. In the East and South Bay, the SCU fires are still the biggest in terms of acreage. It has burned nearly 366,000 acres and is 25% contained. 5 people there, including 3 first responders, have been hurt and 31 structures destroyed. In Santa Cruz and San Mateo counties, officials this morning confirming the second death connected to the CZU fire. Officials say a 63-year-old woman was found dead inside the fire zone. 6 people remain missing. That fire has burned at least 80,000 acres and is 19% contained. 1 person has died and 538 structures have been destroyed. Now, officials are holding a news conference right now about the LNU fire. Let's listen in.
91 fire engines assigned to incidents from Arizona, Idaho, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Oregon, Utah, Washington, and Montana. And that's part of the 375 engines that were requested. One thing I want to touch on real briefly this morning is driving. As we start to repopulate areas, as well as curiosity is regarding some of the wildfires, is we really want to encourage people to stay out of the area. We have a lot of equipment that's driving in a lot of these narrow roads throughout the entire state. It's a very similar component, so please stay out of the area of a wildfire so we can make sure it's safe for everybody that's responding into it. Again, I just wanted to mention our 24-hour information number is 707-967-4207. And now for an operational update, I'd like to invite up Chief Chris Waters.
Good morning, everybody. Going to give an operational update for the LNU Lightning Complex. I'm Chris Waters, Operations Section Chief. Start out here in the West Zone. The Myers Fire, pretty well tied up. Got Highway 1 open back up, and repopulation efforts are underway. Walbridge Fire. Walbridge Fire offers some significant challenges. Heavy fuels, steep and broken terrain, and very difficult terrain to work in. Also, a lot of homes and a lot of infrastructure we have to work around. We continue to make good progress in tying together vineyards, people's backyards, strategic points, geography, and still working to try and tie a lot of line together to put some line around this whole fire, and then also doing some firing operations to help secure some of those lines. Moving over to the East Zone, we're going to start up here at the point where Cache Creek enters Cape Hay Valley on the north down to Winters. This area is under mop-up and patrol. We have resources that are gathering up some of the materials and bringing back the trash and other things that we have from fire suppression operations. Winters to Vacaville, we continue to do calls for service and to help support repopulation efforts in the area in Pleasant Valley Road and trying to get folks back into that area so they can start to recover. Down in Fairfield north to about Highway 128, repopulation efforts continue. And then we also continue to do safing operations to allow for the safe re-entry of population in those locations. From 128 up to the area above Calistoga and Angwin, 24 to 48 hours. This whole next couple of days, we're going to be reviewing those areas for repopulation and starting to make efforts to get folks in the areas unimpacted by fire, and then also going in and working in areas to safe areas up to get folks that are within the impacted area of the fire. Our top priority today on the incident is up here in the area just south of Middletown and trying to get a significant air show pushed into here. Dozers, hand crews, engines. The last real significant piece of firing and line construction we have left to do is right here on this part of the fire. The highest priority on the fire and today's operation is going to be primarily focused on making that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Now I'd like to invite up our law enforcement partners, Sheriff Mark Essick and Sheriff John Robertson.
Good morning. My name is Mark Essick. I'm the Sheriff of Sonoma County. I'm here today with my colleagues, Sheriff John Robertson from Napa County and Captain John Blenko from the Napa CHP Command. We are working together closely as partners in law enforcement, and we continue to work closely with CAL FIRE as partners to hold evacuation zones and to work on repopulation and reentry on areas that have been determined to be safe. We are seeing an increase in the number of cars that are showing up at road closures and checkpoints. We understand that many people are anxious to get back home and to check their property, and many are also growing weary of the long evacuation periods that we're going through right now. It's important to use the resources in your county, which would be official government resources in Sonoma County, that's socoemergency.org, or other resources in your county for finding information about the fire and evacuations. They're readily available. What is going on right now behind the scenes is we have utility companies, public works crews, and others in evacuation zones that are effecting repairs to make the area safe for you to get back home. I can assure you they are working tirelessly behind the scenes, and that includes CAL FIRE working to clear roads and make the area safe, those utility companies and public works folks in there as well. As always, your law enforcement partners will be in areas that are either under evacuation or under evacuation warning. Those law enforcement partners are there to answer your questions, to guide you to safety, and ensure that you are well informed. So please talk to our deputies and police officers in the field. They will give you information and support you any way they can. Thank you for your continued cooperation and patience as we work through evacuations and in transition into repopulation and reentry, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now I'd like to invite up our Unit Chief, Chief Jones.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning in this morning. This fire remains very dynamic. As you received the briefing this morning, a lot of things are happening in those 350,000+ acres covering almost 6 counties. We're right on the edge of Kenosha. There's a lot of work that's being done, and I know that all of you are growing concerned about the time that it takes, and can you get back into your home, and when will the smoke clear? I assure you that every resource available to us is working tirelessly and as hard as they can to ensure your safety and getting you home as quickly as possible. I know that I've said this before, but I think it's important to realize as you have concerns about getting in quickly how much is happening in California. So we are the 3rd largest fire in state's recorded history. Only 2 years ago, the largest recorded fire was 459,000 acres. It covered Mendocino, Lake County, and Kenosha County. So fast forward 2 years, we're number 2 behind Santa Clara Complex, just to our south. All of the resources in the state of California are working incredibly hard. We've gotten so much support from outside of the area, outside of the state. You heard the states that are here to help us. I just want to say thank you to everyone, including those that are supporting our evacuees, our communities, to provide them help for getting back into their homes. Unfortunately, homes were destroyed in this fire, and folks are going to need help with getting back on their feet. So I want to thank you, all of those folks, not just the cooperators behind me, but everybody listening, for all of their help to get us there. I really hope that you continue to be alert and aware. I asked, and I'm going to say it again, readyforwildfire.org is a great place for you to find information on how to be prepared. Additionally, there's a lot of news media out there, and the most current information is coming from this team, from the county that you live in, and those organizations. Some Twitter feeds that are out there, I'm asking you to please tune in to the legitimate, official information so that you can have the most up-to-date. I really appreciate your patience, and we look forward to getting you back home as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, I'd like to invite up our Incident Commander, Chief Cavanaugh, and immediately following Chief Cavanaugh's comments, we'll take a few questions through the Chief. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Good morning, and thank you for joining us once again here for an update on the LNU Lightning Complex. As we sit today, the entire complex, once again, acres-wise, is sitting at 357,046 acres. The Hennessy fire over here in the east zone is roughly 299,763 acres at 33% containment. The west zone over in Sonoma County with the Walbridge fires at 54,923 acres at 19% contained, and the Myers fires is still at 2,360 acres and 97% containment. We're hoping that'll be moving forward. We're feeling really good, as we keep saying every day about the Myers fires as we move forward. As far as personnel engines today, engines for the entire complex that we have is 293 engines, 66 water tenders, 11 helicopters, 18 hand crews, 56 dozers, for a total personnel of 2,207 personnel. To give a little context to this, the size and geographic area that we have, if you take that per person that is assigned, that's roughly 162 acres per person that is on this incident. Now, that's just not everybody on the fire line. That's actually counting me with all the staff that we have here at the base camp. So just a little bit of perspective, it is a very large incident with a lot of ground that has to be covered by the folks out on the fire lines. As you just heard with Chief Waters, next couple of days is very critical on the fire ground operations that we have, especially with the weather that is somewhat stable with the southwest winds. Temperatures are the same for the next few days through the weekend with our humidities. We have a couple of key areas that we're focusing in on today and tomorrow. With that, if we can get those areas contained and get fire lines around them, get good burn operations that take place, we're going to start feeling a lot more optimistic about what we have in front of us and moving forward. I did yesterday take a flight around the Walbridge fire over there yesterday afternoon after we were able to get up in the air from aircraft. I've been talking about that the last couple days. We haven't been able to get the aircraft up until the late afternoon, and so that was the same thing as yesterday. So I got a flight around that fire. Make no mistake, there is a lot of work that has to be done over on the Walbridge fire. There's a very difficult country over there. There's no fire history over there. We have different fuels that go around the entire different fire, from the east side of the fire to the west side to the north side of that incident, and also to the south. So very difficult. But what I can tell you is there is a good plan in place. The folks over there are working tirelessly every day in that section, on all the sections of the Walbridge fire. So those are some critical pieces that we do have moving forward. We do have the cooperation with the weather right now, which is important for us to take advantage of that. We have to be optimistic or opportunist when it comes to the weather. Also, for repopulation, yesterday we were fortunate to be able to repopulate multiple areas on both zones of the entire complex. That has been a priority of ours. With today, as we move forward, and we still have those plans in place over the next 24, 48, 72 hours to start trying to do more repopulation. But we have to be very diligent, and we have to make sure that the lines are running good, that we can get people back in their homes safely. That's same down within Solano County as we're working down there. There's areas over our next 72-hour plan to start getting people back in their homes after all the cooperation, all the utility companies, make sure the fire's safe, to get people back in their home. So that has taken place, and it continues to be an utmost priority for all of us. Coming in today, as I talked about yesterday, we do have approximately 250 California National Guard service members that are coming into the incident today, hopefully this afternoon. Those service members are going to be used they've been trained for fire line. That's their mission, is to be used out on the fire lines. That's with all the tools that we use, just like a hand crew that we use. That is, I want to make sure that I'm very clear about what their purpose is here. We're thankful to have them in those areas where there's different types of crews that we can use on the fire line. And those crews coming in will free up some of our what we call Type 1 crews to be able to use them in other areas around the entire complex where there's a little more strategic and technical fire lines that need to be put in. So we're happy to have those crews coming in today. Overall, I appreciate everybody turning in. It's very important, as we've been talking about, to have the correct information out there. We're in 6 counties that we're working in, and there's just a very large, complex incident with a lot of information and lots of people that are evacuated their homes. And we want to make sure we're getting that information out there to you. With that, like I said, we're feeling optimistic about where we're going, and we have to take advantage of the few situations with the weather we have now. With that, I would like to ask if there's any questions. Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Well, there you have it. That's an update that we have on the LNU Complex fire that's burning. They say that right now it is 357,000 acres burning, 33% containment. They have 2,207 personnel out there working to get that fire under control. They do have some repopulation happening in that area, which is some good news. They say the next couple of days will be very crucial. They say they're going to try to attack some key areas today and tomorrow, hopefully getting a better hold of this fire. Now, I know that was a lot of information. Don't you worry about that. We have it all at NBCBayArea.com. That's where we're putting all the information you need to know about those evacuations, the containment levels that we are hearing about. And also, you can get that on our free NBC Bay Area app, a great tool to get. Now, coming up for you, the latest on protests in Wisconsin. President Trump is responding to the demonstrations that started after another police shooting of a black man. More for you right after the break. Well, just in Sonoma County Sheriff's Office informing us about an in-custody death that happened earlier this month. The Sheriff's Office releasing this body camera footage on Facebook. Now, along with the statement, deputies say on August 15th, they were called to a domestic disturbance at a home on River Road. This is in Guerneville. In that video, you can see 49-year-old Donald Miller. He came out holding a woman in distress. Now, deputies fought with Miller to release the woman and ended up tasing him. They say while he was on the ground, Miller continued to resist arrest. Deputies were told that Miller was experiencing some mental issue after changing medications. They had to use 2 handcuffs to restrain him. While he was on the ground, he stopped responding. Deputies performed CPR on Miller, but he died. Santa Rosa Police, they're investigating this. So is the Marin County Coroner's Office. President Trump says that he plans to send federal law enforcement to Kenosha, Wisconsin. This is following the ongoing protests in response to that officer-involved shooting of a black man, Jacob Blake. Last night, those demonstrations, they turned deadly. 2 people died following a shooting. A 3rd person is injured. On social media, there's extremely graphic video that seems to show that shooting and the gunman surrendering to authorities. Now, this all appears to have happened during an altercation between protesters and a man who was armed. We're not showing you that video, and so far, police are not confirming any of that. This, of course, is in the wake of the shooting of Jacob Blake. His father says that the man is paralyzed from his waist down, although doctors are not sure how permanent that is. His family is calling for justice.
He was not treated like a human that day. He was treated like some foreign object that didn't belong.
Even before last night's chaotic protest, Blake's mother was calling for calm. The family says it does intend to file a civil lawsuit in this case. All right, it's time to get a look at that forecast for us. Of course, we have been dealing with some cooler temperatures, which has been nice, but still the air quality out there, Carrie, not so great.
It's not great, but we've seen some improvement here. It's still unhealthy if you have breathing problems, especially for all of us who have been breathing this in for at least a week right now. As we take a live look outside in Walnut Creek, we are seeing still the hazy conditions and some fog over San Francisco, but this marine layer, that fog rolling in, has actually helped to improve the air quality along the coastline. But let's get a look at the weather conditions around some of the fires, because we started out this morning with humidity levels near 100% in the Santa Cruz Mountains, where we had some fog moving by and also some cooler temperatures. And then as we go into today, we're expected to hit up to about 80 degrees, which is definitely cooler than the 90s we've had recently. But we are still going to have those 90s in parts of the North Bay as we watch what's going on farther to the north. Temperatures there today reaching 92 degrees and humidity levels dropping down to about 25%. We know that when humidity levels are lower, those fires can spread more quickly. Also, that coming along with a light wind. As we look at our air quality, the more containment they get, it still means that there's fires burning, and so that's still putting smoke into the air. As we look at our air quality, we do still expect some unhealthy air quality, especially going into the inland East Bay for tomorrow, but we should see it going down just a bit in terms of how much of that smoke is in the air, that particulate matter that's measured here. And then going into the weekend, we should still see those levels going down. So it goes from being really unhealthy to much better at the coast, but then still for people who have breathing problems, you're still going to have issues with the smoke in the air throughout the weekend. As we go through our temperatures for today, it's going to be nice to have a bit of a cool down, especially going into this evening. If you plan on going for a walk around 6 or 7 o'clock, we'll start to see that breeze picking up and temperatures dropping once again, coming back into the 70s for the inland areas, and then the fog returning to the coastline. As we go through the 7-day forecast, we have a couple of days with temperatures in the low 90s for some of our warmest inland valleys. But then going into Friday, we'll have a brief spike in temperatures reaching 96 degrees. We're in the low 90s for the weekend. And once again, we should see some fresher breezes coming in from parts of the Bay Area, while San Francisco will bring in those cooler temperatures as we're seeing the fog there returning each morning, and highs will reach into the 60s. Marcus.
All right. Thanks, Carrie. Well, coming up for you, a Bay Area high school distance runner wants to clear the shelters, the way you can help out as well. But first, happening now, today marks 5 years since the murders of a Virginia news reporter and a photographer, Allison Parker and Adam Ward. They were targeted by a former employee while the pair were doing a live report. Their killer, an Oakland native, had a history of conflict at a TV station, WDBJ. This is before eventually being fired. He also accused the pair and the station of racial discrimination. He later took his own life following that shooting. This morning, that station honored Parker and Ward's life and legacy with a video tribute. More for you right after the break. Well, all this month, NBC Bay Area is working to clear the shelters and find new forever homes for pets. And a Palo Alto teen, well, he came up with an idea to help our cause, and he ran with it. Neil Fulton, he's a distance runner at Palo Alto High School, and he organized a virtual run to clear the shelters and raise money for the group Pets in Need.
All you have to do is sign up, and then you can do the run wherever you are, and then send pictures to us for the event. And also, if you want to record your event on like a running platform, then you'll be put on the leaderboard for the event.
You can pretty much do anything for this. You can walk or run that 5K anytime between this Friday and next Monday. You can actually do it anywhere you want, even on the treadmill, running outside. You know, it may be hard to do right now with the smoky conditions, but you can actually track your steps around the house over the weekend. That's an easy way to do it, right? That entry fee is just $10. You can now head over to NBCBayArea.com/cleartheshelters to learn more about that. Well, coming up for you, we are following the new research on the coronavirus that says 6 feet in distance, not enough. And we continue our coverage on the wildfires, a live report on the major complexes still burning.